6 a.m. There's only one place to come for breakfast at 6 a.m. It's the Double Arches. Yeah, we just stopped off at you know where to get some breakfast, and we're off down to the lake. It is a rather lovely day, perfect for float fishing. We're going to try out some new old rods and some new old reels. Very exciting. Maybe a tench, who knows? So, welcome back to the lake. Slightly different video this time. So we're back, we did a bit of filming yesterday, and we're back again this morning to do a bit more filming for this film. So yeah, it's a little bit different. We haven't made any floats this time. We're going straight into some fishing, and I've got some new tackle, got a new float design that I want to try out. I've got a new landing net and a landing net pole, and let's talk all about that now. So where should we start? Let's start with our landing net pole. So this is, I'm hoping you can see it, this is an old split cane all the way through, It's an old, I think it's an old sea fishing rod or a boat rod. It's about 7 foot long with the cork handle, and it was battered and just, yeah, all the rings were knackered on it. And I looked at the thickness of it, and I thought to myself, do you know what, that would make a really cool landing net pole. And so that's what I decided to do. So I literally stripped all the rings off it. I've done some nice decorative whipping on it in this sort of maroon red. I'm giving it loads of coats of varnish. I managed to find an old brass fitting for the landing net head, and I've attached that on with some Araldite glue and whipped up to it, so that's all nice and strong. Yeah, so this is actually, it's really nice. It's you know, it's got a bit of weight to it, it has to be said, but you know what? It's really quite pleasant. So yeah, very pleased with the way that's turned out. And then let's look at the landing net as well. So this is a little bit special. So this is a landing net made by Welly Scott Rods. And I picked this up at a little tackle fair, vintage tackle fair that I went to a couple of weekends ago. Loads of great people there. Loads of information, talked to everybody. Everybody's really friendly, so it was really lovely. Had a great few hours there. But what I really wanted was a wooden landing net to go with my split cane pole. And I found this perfect. So it's a 22-inch net with a 16-inch head. It's steamed oak. I'm not sure exactly how it's made, but I'm guessing they put the wood into a steamer and shape it and bend it and clamp it until it sets in that shape, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm hoping, this is its first trip out, I haven't put a fish in it yet, so I'm hoping that today, fingers crossed, we can get a fish in it. So the landing net pole I've used before, but the head is new, so that's great. So what to talk about next? Let's talk about the rod next. So let's pop that down. So the rod I'm using today, you've seen this before, so I won't go into too much detail. It is an Octafloat Deluxe by Edgar Seeley. I restored this rod about a year or so ago, cleaned up the cork handle, re-whipped it all the way through, new eyes. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful rod. I love it. I think it's beautiful. You may not, but I do. I think the green of the whipping is a little bit gregarious, but there we are. That's me. So yes, I'm really happy with that. But now the reel is something quite special. So this reel was given to me by a good friend, John, and it is an Edgar Seeley Flowcast Mark IV. I think the date on this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think the date on this particular reel is 1967, which I'm guessing is about contemporary with the rod itself. It's actually made, I believe, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that it's made by J.W. Young's, which, as you know, or may not know, but I know they are a very well-respected maker of reels, particularly centre pin reels. And it's my ambition one day to own one of those gorgeous J.W. Young centre pins. But yeah, so really nice little reel, and I'm very grateful for the gift of this from John. So thank you, John, and I hope that we can catch a fish on it. So yeah, so that's the rod and the reel that I'm using. I've spooled that with 6-pound line, and I use, what do I use? Daiwa Hyper Sensor, something like that, which is a really quite fine line. And yeah, so it's really lovely. So let's hope we can catch a fish on it. So the next thing to talk about, I guess, would be this experimental float that I mentioned. There's nothing really fancy, and it's an old material, but it's a material that I've not worked with before. Oh, there we are, look, I'm all hooked up. So this is a peacock quill, and I have not worked with this material before, as I said, so I've just kind of made one float with a stem of peacock quill. I made it an insert waggler, so I've got a little bamboo insert at the top, and I've got a little bamboo insert at the bottom to whip my eye to, and I put a little bit of green decorative whipping on there as well. So yeah, it's an experimental float. If it works well today, who knows, it could go into mass production. I know peacock quill is quite a traditional material, but it's quite new to me, so let's see how it performs. There we are. Right, so the setup is, like I say, insert waggler. I've got a yellow tip on it so that I can see it against this chocolatey water. I've got, on one side of the float, I've got a little float rubber, so I can adjust the depth quite easily, and I've locked that on the other side with a BB shot. The float, incidentally, takes 3 BB and a number 1. And I'm going to fish quite on the bottom. There's a bit of undertow here, so I'm on it anchored to the bottom. So I'm fishing right down, and at the bottom I've got the remainder of my shot, which is 2 BB and a number 1. And then that's going down to a size 14 hook with a cube of luncheon meat. Now, I fished luncheon meat yesterday and had reasonable success on it, so I'm hoping that today will be the same, but we'll see what happens when we start fishing. So there's only one thing left to do. Let's start fishing. So before we start fishing, I want to talk to you a little bit about ground bait. So I've got a little bit of ground bait in here. So a little bit, I'm not going to use all of this. So this is dry ground bait. And what's in here is a bit of a mixture. So I use Bailey's number 1 horse feed, which is a method or a type of bait that I picked up from the legendary Graham Pullen. So thanks again, Graham. So yeah, Bailey's number 1 horse feed, and I mix that with a little bit of bran. And then into that as well, I'm going to put whatever I'm using as my hook bait. So I've got some meat in there. I'm going to mix that in with it. I've got a few pellets in here, just some 4mm pellets. And I've also got, just to give it a bit of colour and a bit of smell, is just a couple of handfuls of that betaine green ground baity stuff, the method feeder stuff, and I just mix that in there as well. So rather than putting water in this bucket and using up all of that, what I do is I bring an old bait tub and I just portion off a bit of ground bait in there like that, and now I'm going to go and put some water in it and get it all mixed up. So watch me fall in now. So a little bit of water. I'll come back over here so you can see. I'm just mixing it up, and that's going to start to bind together. It's a bit like baking, isn't it? I can always add more water, so don't go too heavy with the water to begin with. And again, you can have different consistencies with the ground bait when you mix it up. Personally, for this kind of fishing, for fishing on the lake, what I want to do is create quite a firm ball of ground bait. My theory is, or theories that I've listened to, whether they work or not, I don't know. My theory is that you get a nice tight ball of ground bait, about the size of a golf ball or a ping pong ball, and firm that up. You can see it's kind of gone a bit of a greeny colour now. firm that up, and as that falls to the bottom and sits on the lake bed, it will slowly start to disintegrate, kind of just letting off the smell and a bit of attractant, and that'll bring the smaller fish in to start pecking away at that ball. And again, that pecking away starts to spread the bait around a little bit, and hopefully that's what will bring in the bigger fish. So I'm going to continue mixing that up. Another way you can mix it up is to fish it so much wetter, so it's more like a slop, and as you put it in, it starts to fall through the water and create a nice cloud in the water. But it's a really simple, cheap ground bait. You can buy a huge sack of it for about 12 quid, 15 quid. So yes, it's a really cheap ground bait, and it lasts forever. I mean, I've had a sack in my shed, and it's, you know, it will give you a couple of seasons fishing out of that one sack, depending on how often you go and how heavy you fish, of course. But yeah, little golf ball sizes. I'll get 2 or 3 of those out of there, and I'll put them in. So that's my ground bait mix. So really simple, really cheap. There's lots of stuff you can use, bread and all that kind of thing, but I think this is really good because it's really small particles, and it just fluffs out in the water nicely. So let's get a couple of balls in and hopefully get those fish feeding. Okay, right, so here we go. Let's get some ground bait balls in. So I've got 4 balls of ground bait, again all about the size of a golf ball or ping pong ball. I'm just going to spread them around roughly where I'm going to fish. So 1 there, 1 there, and 2 in the middle. There we are. So what I'm hoping is those balls will sink straight to the bottom, and as they start to disintegrate, that will let out clouds of smell and attractant. Some pellets in there. I'm going to put a little bit of meat over the top. I'm going to fish a cube of meat, so I'm going to put a couple of bits of meat over the top of that as well. And all that remains is to get our experimental float in. So here we go, first cast. Fingers crossed. New reel, new float, new landing net, Ludow landing net pole. It's all very exciting. Lots of firsts today. Let's see if we can get a fish on the first cast. There we are. Let's put that down. Float's settling beautifully. Now we sit back and wait. Whew. Time for a brew, I think. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, it'll take a while for that ground bait to really start to spread out and to disintegrate under the water there. I can actually see where the ball has gone in. I can actually see little tiny dimples on the surface, which is where the air is being released from those balls, which is actually really quite cool because it means I can drop a bait right on top of those balls. I've got a little bit of movement on the float already. But let's see what happens. Oh, I can see some activity. Time to put the tee down, do you think? Let's get ready to strike. Well, there we are. That was a definite bite, but we missed that one. Let's get back out there and see if there's another fish willing to take. Just check the drag on that reel. Drag's a bit clunky, but fish should be able to take it if it needs to. A big blow of bubbles there. Does that mean there's a carp in the area, or maybe even, you never know, the elusive Mr. Tench? Nope, not this time. It's taken the bait though, so let's get another piece of meat on there. I've got some bread with me as well. So we'll try the meat first and we'll see what happens. And if we don't have any luck with the meat, or if we keep missing the bites like we just did, like I just did, then maybe we'll swap over to put a softer bait on and a bit of bread. So I've got a feeling there's a lot of little fish down the bottom there. Some roach, rudd maybe. They're just playing with the bait. It's another beautiful day. We were very lucky with the weather yesterday, and it looks like it's going to hold again for us today. It's early spring. We're in early April. It's just beautiful. I've got a feeling we're going to have a long, hot summer. I haven't struck because I can still see the float. And I've been pestered by small fish. It's staying down. Let's see what's happened. Nope, see nothing there. That's so strange. Right, I'm going to try one more cast. And if that keeps happening, I think we might have to swap to a smaller hook. Let's try one more. But there's definitely fish in the swim, which is good. Struggling with the meat, and I did say I was going to go to bread. However, I just remembered that I bought a tub of maggots, which I've had in my fridge, in my pleasuring shed, for about 6 weeks. And I'm not exaggerating that either. They've been in there for about 6 weeks. I mean, to be fair, my fridge is pretty close to freezing, but most of them are casters, but there's still some wriggling in there. So I'm going to give maggots a go to start off with. Before we go to bread. So I'm going to just go one red and one white. So I'm still on the size 16 hook. And go one red, one white. And let's see if that makes a difference. So like I said earlier, it's, you know, you've got to change things up. We changed the hook size. That didn't work. So let's change the bait and see if that works. There's definitely fish down there, but they don't seem to want to connect with the luncheon meat. So let's see if they will take in a maggot. Good old faithful gentles. Right, let's let that bit of line there, let that float sink. There we are. Let's put a little sprinkle over the top as well, just to get them going. And let's see what happens. All right. Looks like they found them. Come on. Let's see what you are. I want to know what's down there. Mr. Perch, probably. Nice roach would be nice. There are some nice roach in here, sort of palm size and slightly bigger. There's some nice rudd in here as well. And there are some nice tench in here as well. So that's the beauty of float fishing. You never know what you're going to connect with. That's the excitement of it. Well, well, well. We've connected. Not a big fish, but it is a start. What have we got? Mr. Perch. What a surprise. That's a nice looking perch. Swing that one in. Hooked right on the lip. Wonderful. So there we are. Thank you, Mr. Wasp. A wasp almost landed on that little wasp then. So there we go. Nice little perch. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. He's got his fin up. Look at that. Beautiful. Little sergeant. Let's get him back in the water. Right. Maggots then. Let's stick with them for a little while. So the float worked well. So I'm pleased with the performance of the float. And the reel is working fine. So yeah, let's get another cast out there. Let's see if we can get another fish. So with the success of that enormous perch, I'm going to stick with the maggot. I'm going to take it down to one maggot this time and see what happens. So that was on 2 maggots, 1 red, 1 white. I'm going to go with a bronze. I've got some bronze in there as well. I'm just going to feed that round the hook. There we are. Let's see what happens. What's going on? Stuck. There we are. The float cocks nicely. Oh, and straight away we've got a tap. Something taking it on the drop. Well, that's not a roach or a perch. If it is, it's a good one. Wow, this. There we are. So the drag on this reel is a bit clunky. But that's put a nice bend in the rod. Wow. Amazing. Can't catch a carp on a great big chunk of luncheon meat. I say great big chunk, it's a 6 mils cube. Drop it down to a size 16 hook, put 1 maggot on, and away it goes. You just can't odds it. Not a massive fish, but it is a fish. If it stays on, try and keep it out of the trees and the roots and the snags. It's come off. Can you tell? Right. I need something to cheer me up because that was a bit of a disaster. So I've got something special to use now. So I'm going to rig it up and I'm going to show you. Just finished rigging up. Right, so now let's talk about what's next. So we swapped over from the Edgar Seeley Oxa float rod, and now we've got something a little bit special. So this is a Hardy. Now, there are certain names in fishing which are quite cool. J.W. Young's for their reels and Hardy for their rods. So this is a 1954 Hardy Avon One. So it's a mostly cane. So it's a 3-part rod. So the bottom 2 sections are cane and the tip section is split cane. Cork handle, brass fittings, brass ferrules, and stainless steel eyes. I've got a agate tip ring. Yeah, so it's all original. It's completely original, untampered with. And this was an absolute steal on eBay. I won't tell you how much I paid for it, but I can't believe I got it for the price I got it for. I've heard about Hardy rods and I've kind of looked at them and they've all been absolutely ridiculous in price. So I was blown away when I won the bid on this. So I'm very happy with it. It even came with a letter of sort of authenticity from Hardy itself. So I know the name of the rod maker. I know it was made on the 7th of February, 1954. I think the name, I'll have to get the letter out and show you, but I think the name was something Richardson or Jefferson or something like that, the name. But yeah, so it's cool to know who exactly made this rod. So there it is. I'm really excited. I haven't fished with it yet. I'm literally chomping at the bit to get it in the water. So this is its inaugural fish with me. It's its first outing. So yeah, let's talk about the reel I've got on with it. So the reel is a little center pin. I think that the manufacturer is Cooke or something like that. It's called a Duracast. I think it's probably age appropriate. I'm guessing mid 50s for the reel itself. It's a bit battered, it's a bit bruised, but it works perfectly. The clickers, the ratchet's working. I can turn the ratchet off if it annoys some people. I know some people hate the ratchet. Personally, I like the ratchet. But there we are. So that's the setup. That's the rod and reel. So I'm very excited to use it. Let's talk a little bit about the float I'm going to use on this one. So we had a bit of an experiment with the peacock quill on the last one. And I have to say, although we didn't have much luck with the fishing, we did have a lot of luck with the float. The float itself performed superbly. So that was quite a bit of an experiment for me. So this is a different type of material again. And again, it's an experimental material. I've not used this before. Again, I've seen floats made out of it. I've heard about it, but I've never worked with the material. So this is mace reed. I think, I'm not sure, I might be wrong, but I think it's bulrushes or mace reed. So it's quite a strong reed, easy to work with. Again, I've just made one float. I bought some reed. I've just made one float just to see how it performs. So there it is. It's a straight waggler. Again, I've gone with the yellow top specifically because I know this water is very muddy and I plan to come here. So I made a yellow top. I've got a red band in the middle. It takes 3 BB and a number 4. And I've shotted that. I've got a float stop. Let's see if we can do it that way around. I've got a float stop here on the top of the line. I've got 3 BB bulk shotted right underneath the float. And then I've got nothing then all the way down to hook myself as I go. Typical. There it is. All the way down. And I've got a single number 4 right at the bottom down to the hook link. And I've got one maggot on a tiny little size 16 hook there. So that's the setup. Let's get fishing. First cast, here we come. Right, here we go. First cast, and I genuinely mean this is its first cast. I've not cast with this rod before, or this float, or this reel. Oh, that didn't go very well, so let's try that again. Get it just where we want it. Out there a bit more. There we are. Get off a bit more line. Well, the float sits nicely. Oh, my goodness me. Wow. I hope you saw that. That's genuine. That's no mucking about. That was incredible. Right. Well, I don't want to put too much pressure on this rod. It is, well, 1954. My maths is terrible. This is 70 years old. So I'm going to be a little bit delicate with it. I can't believe that. After struggling for all those bites with the other rod and the peacock quill, literally the moment it touched the water, it was away. I don't think it's a particularly big fish, but it's a very, very welcome one. And let's hope we can land it. Because I haven't got a fisherman landing net yet. This might take a while. Love the sound of that ratchet. Still got some fight in it. Ooh. And so I am playing it quite lightly. If I had a modern rod and reel on, I could probably bully this fish in quite easily, but I don't want to do that. Let's feel the fight and enjoy it. This is what Saturday mornings are made for. And it's definitely putting up a good scrap. Thing's almost ready. The fight's getting a little bit easier. Tiring the thing out. Let's keep away from those roots and reeds and snags. Thank you. I hope you're not expecting to see a monster, because there isn't going to be one. But whatever it is, will be very, very welcome. Let's just hope we can land it. Come on. And it's a little mirror carp. I think we're getting near landing it. Let's get that net wet. Fantastic. All coming together. Don't ping off now. Please don't ping off now. Come on. Wow, will this thing ever give up? As I say, I really don't want to put too much pressure on it, but it really doesn't want to give up. So the rod is coping very well with this amount of pressure, but I really don't want to put more on. It's just absorbing all those lunges and dives from the fish, which is nice. Oh, I think we're getting there. I think we're winning. There she is. Come on. Come on. Oh, we're in. Nice. Let's take a look. Yes. And would you believe it? The hook's come out. Even better. There's the hook in the net. Let's take a look at this fish on the mat. So the net has done its job beautifully. Get myself round. As I say, not a monster fish, but very, very welcome. Look at that. Beautiful. Lovely colours. Dark on the top, buttery yellow on the bottom. Thank you very much, Mr. Carp, or Mrs. Carp, or just Carp, to be, yeah. Right, here we go. So, handful of loose maggots, single hook on a size 16. Let's see what happens. Oh, so exciting. No, didn't like that cast. Let's try again. That's better. A bit of line out and then rest it down. And wait. And a little sprinkle of maggots over the top, I think. Well, that didn't connect. And he's taken the maggot. Magnificent. Magnificent. So, 6-week-old maggots. Let's see if we can get you a fish. It's taken that maggot as well. What is there with the fish in this lake? They are like burglars. They just keep taking the bait and leaving me without a fish. Right, let's try that again. Ducks are in. Right, this time. Have a fish this time. Oh, yes. Ooh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Single maggot. The old rod's doing the business. 70 years old. Can you believe that? 70 years old. I wonder if this rod has ever seen fish this size. I have no history on the use of the rod. Only that it's old. Putting up a very similar scrap to the last one. Again, not a monster fish, but goodness me, they're angry. Let's see if she's ready for the net. I think we can just put a bit of pressure on. Keep her head up, keep the head up, keep the head up. Slide it over the net. And we're in. Oh, cracking. Right, let's get this on the mat and let's take a look. Lovely jubbly. Where are you? Hidden under all that. Where's that hook? Oh, look at that. Hook's come out again. Sort that out in a minute. There we are. Another fish. I promise you it's not the same one. So yeah, here we are. Another beautiful little mirror carp on a 1954 Hardy rod. So pleased with that. Let's get her back. Where's that hook? It's there somewhere. Do you know what? I think we'll just do this the old-fashioned way. There we are. Well, it's just here. And away. Marvellous. Right, what's next? So, single white maggot on a size 16. Let's see what happens. Straight away. Hey, we're in. Another little tiny roach. Beautiful. Perfectly formed. It's like a roach, just smaller. Where did I put my degorger? Ah. It's almost traditional, isn't it? If you're wearing a hat, the disgorger must go in your hat line. And then you forget where you put it. Goodness me, come on. You forget where you put your disgorger. And then it's always under your hat. Come on. There we go. And away. Lovely. Right, have a bit of fun now. Now you probably noticed at the beginning of the film, on our way in, we went into that famous fast food restaurant and I ordered myself a bit of breakfast in a wrap, which is very nice. So I haven't eaten it all. I've kept some of it. And we're going to see if we can catch anything. So I've got a little bit of the tortilla wrap. So I'm going to fold that up. Don't want it too big. And put it on the hook and let's see if we can catch anything on a bit of tortilla wrap. So there we are, tortilla wrap from my breakfast. And let's see what happens. Oh, just a bit of fun as the fish are feeding. I'm going to chuck in a few pellets around it. Hopefully that'll attract the attention of something. Oh, some bubbles coming up nearby. I'm quite sure how that tortilla wrap will behave under the water, whether it will stay quite dense or whether it will soak up the water and start to disintegrate. I've never fished with tortilla wrap before, so I'm in completely new territory here. Let me know in the comments what weird and wonderful baits you use. Anything strange and unusual. What do you know? Right, there we go. Another beautiful little carp. As I said, an old rod, an old reel, with a new float and some new bait. Yeah, what a cracker. Let's put it back, the water's just there. And, thank you very much. Right, so we're caught on the tortilla wrap. A bit of sausage in the wrap. Let's see if we can get one on the sausage. So success on the tortilla. Let's see if a little bit of sausage does the trick. Can we catch on a bit of sausage meat? Oh, that's a bit soft, that bit. Let's try a different bit. There we go. That hooked on. Perfect. Right then. So let's see if we have success on the sausage meat. Right, stand by for action. Throw a few pellets in just around the float, see if we can attract something in. Let's see what happens. Nothing much happened yet, he says. Oh, goodness me. As the words came out of my mouth. There we are. Never mind. Let's try that again. I'll hold on to the rod this time. There was about an hour delay from that float dipping to my strike, which is probably why we missed the fish. Right, so I'm just going to replace it. I'm going to try and cast out a little bit further. Sausage meat is still on there. There we are, that's a bit better. Take up a bit of slack. Now, a few pellets over the top, methinks. And we're in. Didn't need those pellets. Wow, that's not a roach. We're halfway across the lake. Come in, number 9, your time is up. Oh, goodness me. He's done a right runner. Might take me a while to get this one in. Noisy old ratchet. Come on, get away from those banks. Oh. Oh my goodness, we've got half a tree attached to us as well. Let's hope that doesn't affect anything. This is going to be fun. I can assure you it's not the log that's playing me, although it's not helping. I haven't even seen the fish yet. Oh dear, we're in a right old mess, aren't we? Oh, have we lost the tree? Has the tree given up? I think it hasn't yet. No, missed it. And we're in. Whew, what an epic battle. I've never fought a tree so hard in my life. Right, let's let him rest there for a minute while I get myself set up. Whew. Yeah. So, Oh dear, foul hook this one, doesn't count. Get that out of the way. So, another carbon copy of the last carp we caught. Beautiful little mirrors. So we caught on the tortilla wrap, we've caught on the sausage meat. I think I'm about to run out of luck, so we're going to call it a day there. It's been a great experience with the old rods and reels. Yeah, who knows what's next for black bottom floats, but I'm sure you'll join me in the shed soon, and we'll find out what's going to happen next. All right, take care everybody, tight lines, I'll see you all soon.